Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Sarah Ledbetter. I am the yoga teacher here at Universal Parenting Place and Knowledge Quest. We are back with y'all for the month of August with 2 practices aimed to help you settle into your body, settle down, feel connected to this planet, to your family and friends, even if you can't spend time physically in contact. Here we want to be a space for you to come home to yourself and feel safe, juicy, and embodied. So let's get started today. Just a little heads up about something that you will need to grab. I'm using 2 yoga mats as my props. Those are not necessarily the perfect prop that you need to have. They could be 2 folded blankets, 2 rolled towels, or maybe a couple of couch cushions. So go ahead and grab those and have them nearby. We're going to spend the first 10-15 minutes of class awakening the cells of the body through movement and sound, and then we're going to settle into some poses that we'll spend time in. It's hotter than hay outside. This is a great time in the cycle of the year, especially in the middle of the day when the sun is at its highest, to settle in and receive the nourishment that comes from our environment, from our food, from our relationships, from meaningful work. So now that you have your props set off to one side, I'd like you to just find a nice, comfortable mountain pose. We're going to let the knees have a soft, juicy bend. And take a moment to just feel that your sitting bones are right above the heels. Feeling that connection, maybe pushing the earth a few times to feel how it holds you. Just exactly matching your weight with its pushback. And see if you can also feel the top of your skull right above the pelvis. And I'm going to check that out myself by placing a nice flat hand on the center of my skull, having that soft bend. I'm going to let the breath out from deep in my belly. You might try that yourself. Nice deep sound. We'll release that hand from the top of the skull. And we're going to make 3 sounds. So the first sound is going to come with a movement of widening our arms. It's going to be an ah as the arms widen out. You can think of this like the pinky side of the hand, like bat wings or eagle wings spreading as we say ah. Then on that same breath, we're going to let an ooh sound come next. So we've widened out. Now we're going to deepen so we can feel the breath moving side to side, but also front to back. Ooh. And then we're going to bring that full sound home to the heart with an sound. So this first one will be like a little rehearsal. We'll let the hands relax down. We'll let the breath come in through the nose if you can. And ah, Nice, y'all. Let's do that twice more. Just feel the vibrations. Breathe in. Last one. Breathing in. And now you'll just gently bow towards your own heart. So here we're not bowing to any external authority. We're bowing to that beautiful light within you that has guided your way all the way to right here and right now. And now we'll gently lift the crown of the head, releasing the hands down. So now we're gonna bring that ah sound into our lunge and warrior pose. So let's inhale, we're gonna shift the weight onto the left leg, and as I inhale, the right leg is gonna come up into balance while I raise my arms overhead. So breathing in. I'm gonna exhale and step back into the lunge. Check that your heels are sitting bone distance apart so you're nice and stable. I'm gonna let my arms float back down to my side so I can be here for our ah sounds. So I'm gonna breathe in. Let's breathe in with the palms to the sky. Then we're gonna say the ah as we draw those elbows right in and back. So join me for that. Inhale, palms to sky. Nice, y'all. This time arms up overhead. Same idea, but this time we'll exhale into a cactus pose. Inhaling. Nice, y'all. We'll bring the hands down to the hips. And now I'm gonna turn that heel in and down to the mat behind me. So I get really firm and planted through the back leg. And I'm gonna start to push the ground away with my front leg. I'm not jamming the knee down. I'm keeping a little lift in the knee. And I'm gonna go ahead and tuck my left arm behind my back. So I've got opposite arm and leg, just as though you were, when we walk, we have opposite arm and leg. So now we're gonna try those ahs just as we exhale, bowing forward. So it's gonna look like this, inhaling a little lift. And I'm gonna say ah. Just to lightly touch that leg. Now the knee might bend more than that if you needed to. Let's do that twice together. Breathing in. Breathing in, rising up. And then we'll exhale that right hand behind our head. So now we've got a chest opener through both sides. We're gonna let that front leg bend. We're gonna bring that back heel back into a little lunge. And there's a little bit of a balancing challenge here. We're gonna let ourselves just slightly side bend to the left in the direction of the front leg. And here you might allow the breath to really draw down the back body like cooling waters. If you're wobbling a little bit, you're not alone. That is your body feeling its way down to the ground for stability and support. Let's breathe in one last time. And use the exhale to slowly unwind. We'll breathe in, carrying both arms up. And exhale, tilting forward. We're gonna come all the way to standing in mountain pose. And I'm gonna step my mountain pose just a little bit wider. And we're gonna do some nice tassel swishes. So for this, I'm gonna let that opposite heel lift and turn out to allow me to twist around very gently. And do a few of these to each side. We looking good, Bianca?
Looking great.
Great. Last one to each side. Letting those arms just slowly stop their momentum. Then we'll bring those feet back in and just let a few little bounces and swings happen. And we'll try that on the second side. So standing into your mountain, we're going to shift the weight onto the right leg now. And with the in-breath, that left foot is going to come up and so will the arms. So balance there. Breathing in. Exhale, reaching back, finding a nice lunge. We'll release those hands down and we're going to come back with our ahs. Inhale. Once more. practice now. Bring those hands down to the hips and get really firm through that back leg. So my back heel is reaching in and down to the ground. Notice that I'm not standing on a tightrope. That would be too narrow. So we've got one foot on the right half of the mat, the other foot on the left half of the mat. And I'm going to tuck that right forearm back behind me. You might even be able to reach all the way around and turn your palm down to hold your outer hip. Otherwise, you might be just right here. We're going to come into this nice stretch for the back body by breathing in. Let that gaze lift. Let the leg bend as much as you need to. Breathing in through the nose. Last one. Standing into the legs. Breathing into the heart. And then we'll ease back here. We're going to let the left hand come to the back of the head. And we're going to again find the lunge pose. So that back heel is going to lift. We're going to come into the lunge. So the right knee is right above the heel. Last week we spoke about how when we bring our attention into alignment, where the bones are in place, we're awakening a really healthy connection between mind, breath, and cells of the body that helps balance any neuroses or anxiety or depression. Becoming aware of alignment helps us get out of any unhealthy ruts that we might be working with. So let's let ourselves just side bend a little bit here. This might challenge your balance. Just be here with your breath, letting that left elbow move back. And let the breath cascade down the back of the neck, down the shoulders, rooting through the legs. Your body doesn't stop at the feet. Let stuff go. Let stuff come. After your next inhale, we'll use our exhale to come back. The reason we do that is the exhale is when the ribs naturally want to come back. So we use that momentum. And we'll breathe in to just reach up, and we'll exhale to complete that sequence, coming all the way forward into mountain, which generally feels good after you've done poses on one side. We'll let ourselves do a little wiggle bounce, maybe jogging the arms, letting the head be like a weeble wobble. Beautiful. And we'll let the arms up, flowing forward. As we breathe in, let's exhale and gently ease out. Let those legs bend. Let the chest and the head get heavy and soft. Release your hair. Breathing into a long, flat back. Letting go again, following the breath. Carving your way upwards as you breathe in, squeezing space high. Inhale, prayer pose. Feel your midline, alert and soft. Twice more. Breathing in, we're riding the wave up. Feel your hands. Beautiful, y'all. Together once more. Inhaling, high hands, mountain. Spreading your eagle wings, softening at the knees, releasing chest and head. Long, flat back, pushing the ground away. Surrender the exhale. Let's ride the wave upward on the inhale. And exhale. Just take a moment to harvest the beautiful sensations that you can be aware of right now. Noticing from the inside where your breath moves, if anything has changed in the last 20 minutes. We're going to inhale the arms up once more. And as you exhale, let's just step that left foot back and then turn and plant it. Just nice brief warrior two here. Feeling the front knee is right over the ankle, the back heel is reaching to earth. Then we'll inhale, taking a nice side stretch. One big inhale. Let your arm continue circling down and back. Breathing out. Then we'll come back into the lunge on an inhale. And exhale, come forward to stand. Mountain pose. Breathing in, let's shift the weight onto the left leg. Stepping back on the right, turn and plant and spread. Checking that that front knee is opening more than closing in. Feeling the chest above the pelvis for a moment as you breathe in. And then we'll sweep that right arm all the way overhead. And exhale it slowly back around through our nice warrior. Then we'll pivot, coming into the lunge, breathing in. And exhale, coming all the way forward to stand. And we'll bring one more round of hands together at the sternum and gently bow. So we did that little extra round of warrior two to allow the fronts and backs of the legs to become ever more free. When we start to open the limbs from the torso, we make more space for your prana. That's your life force, your own body's intelligence to heal, to thrive, to change. We allow it to move fully out to the ends of the fingertips and back to the heart center. So those morning stretches your body naturally wants to do, those are great. Those are great. We just take them a little bit further in yoga. So let's set up for our first supported pose. This one is very simple. You'll use those two folded situations or puffy situations that you have. One is going to go behind the thighs. The other is going to go underneath the chest. Some folks don't like anything rolled under the back of their chest, so I'm going to give you an option if that's you. I'm going to also show this sideways so you can see more clearly where the props fall. So one prop is going to go under the bottom of my thighs, so it's actually above, just above the backs of my knees. And if you are in the mood for a little heart opener, if you have felt a little bit rounded at all, and if this seems inviting, you want more breath in the chest, then follow me here. I'm going to prop myself up on the elbows. Usually if the elbows come onto the prop, it's going to be in a good place for you, but you might just play with that a little bit, letting the legs bend, taking hold of the head, and then gently coming all the way back and down so the head comes all the way down to the ground. We don't want the chin floating up. That's a little activating. We want the chin to soften so you can play with where this goes. If you try this and it's really uncomfortable, then I have another alternative for you, which is to simply turn it lengthwise. That way your chest will get that support, but your head will also be supported. And then the legs will soften out. Let them roll in and out a few times. Talk about a great place to let the life force move through the shoulders and the hips. This is a great one. We're going to let the arms come down below shoulder height. Let those legs soften. And you might even invite the head and neck to release tension by rolling for a moment left and right. be here for 3 minutes, letting the body settle. If anything doesn't feel right, please make your own adjustments. Every time you gently draw your attention back into the now, I like to think a little angel earns its wings. Something wonderful happens. If you're questioning whether you deserve to lie here and do nothing for a moment, I'm here to tell you, you definitely do. Let 3 more easy breaths move through. And gently awaken the soles of the feet, feeling down into them, toes spreading. Guide 1 foot at a time, back to earth. And then roll gently to one side, taking your time to gently find the way to seated. I hope that gave you a lot of space to breathe. I know it did me. So I'm going to shift my props off to one side, but keep them on hand because you may decide to be creative with them and use them. So we're going to come into a lizard pose. Those of you who are in Memphis or who live somewhere that you can spend time in nature, right now the lizards and salamanders are really on display in our forests, and it's beautiful to see their stillness. In this nice hip opener that they are doing. It is actually really good in Chinese medicine for the heart line. So we're going to open the heart line as it runs down the inner leg. So to do this, I'm going to come onto my forearms with my legs straight out behind me, and then I'm going to shift my weight to my left, and I'm going to take my right leg out to the side. And I'm going to look at it for a second as I let my elbows come back down to the ground. Then I'm going to reach with my left arm just a little bit more than the right, actually a good deal more than the right. And then I'm going to just stack my hands and rest my left cheek on my hands. And this is the pose that we'll be in. You might want to change it a little bit. You might prefer to be right here in the center. and allow that leg to slide a little further out to the side. So just play with that a little bit. You might also find that a prop is useful underneath your knee and your foot. So that is also an option. And we'll stay on this side for 2 minutes. I'm going to give y'all one more option if you feel like you need something just a little bit deeper for the front of the hips, and that is to stay up on the forearms and bring a prop or your joined hands in underneath the forehead as a support, resting that forehead. If there's any discomfort, please change your position. Start to feel your breath connecting your back body and your front body. Let's let another full breath come and go here. Then slowly release this pose from your body and roll all the way onto your back to just let yourself feel the rebound of that pose, just letting the arms spill away, the legs spill away. Every cell saturated with intelligent life. And then we'll shift on to the belly once more, coming on to those forearms, shifting the weight on to the right hip and elbow to take the left leg out to the left. Some folks are going to be all the way out here. Some folks are going to have more of a tree pose with the knee just slightly out to the side. So find where you need to be, reaching the right arm forward, the left hand stays close as you look back at your left knee, and then bend the elbows, stacking the hands under the cheek and resting here or adjusting the pose. Let your mind drop into the space between the breaths. Begin to awaken the sole of the left foot and slowly reaching away from you, letting the chest come back to the center, and once more easing all the way onto your back to just let the body soak in the benefits of those poses. 4 good breaths here. Gently guide the feet to the floor, shifting to one side, easing up. Our last supported pose, we'll do once on each side. We're going to use our props for this, lined one right up in front of the other. It's wonderful to do a twist at the end of a series like this. So I've got mine lined up just because it's not quite long enough to support my whole spine and head otherwise. So I'm going to sit on the front end of that prop and slowly help myself back until the arms are spread in kind of an easy T, so my arms don't need to be straight. There's a little bend. I'm going to see what it's like to take my hips just slightly to the right and let my legs fall, letting those knees fall until that left hip finds its way down to the ground. So it depends on your prop where you'll need to be to do that. If this right shoulder is really tight, you might just rest the forearm across your forehead and see if you can relax the glutes and let go into this twist for about 5 easy breaths. You can even turn and look in the opposite direction of the knees if that feels good to you. Feel the tailbone long, sweeping away from you. Shoulder and my right hip are supported. My left hip and shoulder are on the ground. Exhale. And then gently come all the way onto your left side, stacking the knees, stacking the chest, and then inch forward and let yourself come all the way down to the ground to just digest the pose, maybe rocking through the body a little bit. Hands might be on the belly. Notice the breath moving in the midline of the body, in your very own spine. Deep to the spine. And let another full breath come and go. And then gently transition to one side to seated. Easing back up onto our prop, sitting on that front edge. Helping ourselves gently back. Easy T, the head is supported. I'm going to let my hips shift slightly to the left, and then my feet are about as wide as the mat. I'm going to let myself slowly fall down till the right hip is fully supported. And now that left hip and the left shoulder are on the prop. The right body is really not for the most part, although you might play with it. And then you might turn and look to the left. It feels really safe and delicious. This side might be different. Wiggle if you need to, and then settle in. Another option is to prop that left arm up on a couple of pillows if you have some pain in that left shoulder, or it can be down lower. Just like sound at the beginning of class moved in all the dimensions of the body. See if you can sense your breath moving in this spiral of your spine, legs, and arms. With your next exhale, we're going to come all the way over onto the right side, easing down, stacking shoulders and hips. And then gently easing up to seated, scooting to one side, or maybe just moving your props off to one side. And let yourself completely open up into final relaxation. Heels as wide as a yoga mat, toes at ease. If for any reason this doesn't feel good for your body, make some changes. Maybe propping up the knees or taking the legs onto a chair, or resting on one side. Start by allowing your attention to sweep down towards the heart, letting your gaze nest in the heart. And let your next 5 breaths cascade down along the inside of your body and out through the feet. Washing the body with breath. Release any conscious control of the breath or of your body. Sinking in a little deeper and wider and softer. 5 more effortless breaths wash through. Invite the soles of the feet to stretch and widen. And then let those feet find the floor one at a time. Let the hands and wrists and fingers swirl through space. Let the arms reach up overhead. And then gently ease to one side. We're going to come to seated. We're going to do just a little bit of breath work together. So let yourself find a comfortable seat, centering the mind here in the body after our nice physical practice. Gently rub those hands together. We're going to start with the right hand to the left side of the neck, encouraging drainage of the lymph from behind the ear down. Rubbing and drawing. And then giving yourself a little sweep on the back of the shoulder. We're going to tap down the top and bottom of the arm 3 rounds. We'll come back together here. Here in Memphis, the ragweed is starting to bloom, and I have quite a ragweed allergy, so please don't be concerned me coughing just a little bit. I'm going to take that left hand and start to encourage the tissue of the neck and throat to drain. Boy, that earring gets in the way. Encouraging that drainage. And then giving myself a little pat on the shoulder, a little swipe, swipe. And then tapping down both sides, 3 rounds. Rubbing the hands together once more. And letting the hands come to rest. So now we're going to do a short breath sequence to balance the left and right sides of the body. First, we're going to bring the right thumb to the right nostril, just the tip top of the nostril. And we're going to take several breaths through that left nostril just to let it wash clean. And as you do, imagine that breath coming right into the center of the body, all the way down to the earth, and letting it wash all the way up and back out through the nose. So let's begin. Breathing in. Breathing all the way down, breathing all the way up and out. 2 more rounds. Clearing and cleaning. And then we'll let that go and just notice, let your nostrils uncrinkle. If you've ever had your HVAC unit maintained, it makes a big difference, right? To clean out those ducts. So that's what we're doing here. Now we'll get that right nostril clear, left thumb to the top of the left nostril, 3 breaths. Visualize it coming all the way up and out. 2 more. Beautiful release. Feel the nostrils uncrinkling. And now we're going to close that right nostril to breathe in and close the left nostril to breathe out. So I'll guide you through. Close that right nostril. Now we're going to let that duct get cleaned all the way through. So let's breathe in through the left, down to the base of the spine. Change to breathe out. Starting again. In through the left. Out through the right. Last one. Out through the right. And then just notice. Now we're going to balance that out, letting that right stream flow out to the left. So let's close that left nostril, breathing in right. Change and breathe out left. Hang in there, 2 more rounds. Changing to exhale. Last one, breathing in right. And breathing out left. Release. Let your fingertips touch the earth. Feel the breath returning to its own effortless rhythm. Just let the palms join together in front of the heart center, and as you do, you can feel your own midline. You feel your sternum, you feel your heart. We're going to close our practice by just breathing in through both nostrils right down to that midline, and breathing out from your midline through both nostrils and into the space. This will conclude our practice. Let's do 5 rounds. When you're ready, begin. Breathe in through both nostrils. And out. Visualize it coming in, flowing out. Last 3 rounds. Last cleansing breath. Beautiful, beautiful work, y'all. So let's touch the ground, just thanking this good ground, this precious earth and sun that have made our bodies possible and this practice possible, just honoring all the elements that nurture our being. And then let one hand rest at the center of the chest, the other at the center of the belly, and we'll just gently bow here, giving thanks for this time and space. I certainly want to give thanks, honoring your wisdom, honoring your experience, honoring your journey. With that, we conclude our yoga practice for today, August 11th. We look so forward to seeing you back 2 weeks from today. Please share with your friends. This is offered at no cost to you. Thanks to ACE Awareness Campaign, and thank you so much to Bianca and Latasha and the Universal Parenting Place Knowledge Quest. Y'all have a beautiful afternoon, and we'll see you next time.